loses a close, tough fight to Terence Crawford. I don't know.
But he's gotten older. He's grown out of the division.
Who?
I'm just saying.
Yeah, but so is Terence Crawford.
You can't make the weight.
But so is Terence Crawford. I picked Terence Crawford because he started 135. Floyd started 130. He turned pro. He's 130 pounds.
I mean, Max really has earned the right to an opinion. And his current opinion is that Terence Crawford is the greatest of all time. Now, I will tell you, Max is a fan. I can relate to this. I got in there and I did the sport, and there are times that there is a credibility that will come along with me for having done the sport. But I'm the same as Max. I'm a fan.
Good Crawford is, you know what I mean? Especially being, what is he, 38? Something like that, yeah, 38. So listen, to do what he done in the manner he did it, moving up 2 weights, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, one of the greatest to do it.
Max Kellerman analyses the highly anticipated Mayweather versus Crawford fight, emphasizing the differences between their professional histories. He points out that Floyd picked his opponents deliberately in order to preserve his record, which gave him a strong resume but frequently attracted criticism. Terence Crawford, on the other hand, never shied away from a challenge. He faced whoever came up and continuously proved himself. Kellerman leans towards Crawford despite Mayweather's legacy because he thinks his unafraid style and willingness to take on anyone give him the advantage.
It's wild because, like, if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. He wiped out the junior lights, bring him. Lightweight, he jumps up to Jose Luis Castillo first thing. A lot of people think he lost the first fight, I didn't, but then he won the rematch. But once he left lightweight, he was careful about when he fought guys. So even though his resume is deeper with names, people remember, but he didn't want it with certain dudes at certain times. Crawford, we all witnessed, even though the resume is thin in certain ways, he wanted it with everyone the whole time.
Oh, yes.
That makes a difference to people.
Max Kellerman has repeatedly questioned whether Floyd Mayweather is deserving of being at the top of the pound-for-pound rankings. Although Kellerman concedes Floyd's technical mastery, he contends that his accomplishments do not automatically qualify him as the greatest of all time. As part of his research, he highlights Terence Crawford, who has won championships in 4 separate divisions, putting him on par with Manny Patrick. Moving up weight classes and defeating champions along the way characterized Pacquiao's legacy. Kellerman also thinks Crawford reflects this path. According to him, it demonstrates that greatness is about having the courage to take chances across boundaries and face the most formidable opponents rather than about keeping an unblemished record.
Guys, no one has ever been a 4-division champion in boxing. Not a real one. Oh, Pacquiao won 8 and Oscar De La Hoya won 11 and this one won 15. No, I'm talking about Ring Magazine champ or lineal champ. You are the champion of that division. Manny Pacquiao was the first dude to really win 4. Floyd gets credit for 4 for beating Canelo, but that wasn't at the junior middleweight limit. I don't count that. I don't count that. Terence Crawford just joined Manny Pacquiao as the only legit 4-division champion in the history of boxing.
In yet another scathing assessment, Kellerman highlighted how Mayweather meticulously controlled his career to keep his perfect record. He brought up the fact that Floyd frequently selected opponents who were either past their best or less dangerous from a strategic standpoint. Mayweather was praised for his skill and incisive defensive approach early in his career. Later on, though, he gave more weight to bouts that provided more cash rewards than ones that presented a competitive challenge. This change sparked complaints that his flawless record was more of a commercial strategy than evidence of unquestionable dominance. Although Floyd was fantastic, Kellerman argues that his matchmaking tactics lessened the impact of his zero because fans preferred to see him in real danger rather than in prearranged mismatches.
Floyd was fighting everyone right up until the point where he started to make money. But as much credit as you get for making, the primacy of business, for making business your priority, well, that comes with trade-offs. Because when you make business decisions constantly, sometimes your athletic achievements won't be regarded in the same way as if you made athletic achievements your priority. That said, Mayweather has accomplished a tremendous amount athletically. But the 3 fighters he didn't fight, Antonio Margarito, Manny Pacquiao, when he was obliterating De La Hoya, Hatton, and Cotto, and Shane
and Mosley when he still had something left. And while he will wind up fighting Pacquiao and Mosley, it'll both be, at the right time for Floyd. That said, what about at the right time? Floyd, he's also ancient. A fighter approaching 40, fighting at the level Mayweather is fighting, is unheard of. Mayweather, until recent times, would be considered one of the greatest older fighters. That would be the whole story. Oh my God, can you believe how old Mayweather is? It's a little bit unfair to Floyd to say, well, you're picking these guys at the right time. Floyd is old.
Kellerman's assessment of Terence Crawford as perhaps the best pound-for-pound fighter of all time provoked criticism from certain Mayweather-loyal fans and commentators. Kellerman was criticized for elevating Crawford too quickly and for having more work to do. However, former UFC fighter Chael Sonnen supported Kellerman's freedom to express his viewpoint. Sonnen underlined that when people truly perceive excellence, both critics and admirers have the right to make audacious assertions. He clarified that rather than being written off as prejudiced, Kellerman's position should be appreciated as an educated viewpoint from someone who has observed the development of boxing over many years. Sonnen thus brought attention to the constructive argument in combat sports, where contrasting viewpoints feed debates about who should be discussed for the best of all time.
Max really has earned the right to an opinion. And his current opinion is that Terence Crawford is the greatest of all time. Now, I will tell you, Max is a fan. I can relate to this. I got in there and I did the sport, and there are times that there is a credibility that will come along with me for having done the sport. But I'm the same as Max. I'm a fan. I stopped off and had a career doing it, but I started as a fan during my time in that career, and now I'm a fan. And Max was a little heavy on Canelo. Now, when I say it was a little heavy, it just surprised me as such an expert, as a guy that knows everything. I mean, Max knows the amateurs. He knows what Usyk did in the Olympic Games and the World Championships and the Golden Gloves before that, and he knows everybody else as well. I was a little surprised, if I'm being fair, at how much he thought Canelo was a great fighter. That part did surprise me. But just because Canelo has been beat doesn't mean he's not. It's interesting. Canelo's had some really hard fights, and by the way, he's had a lot of them. There's not usually a time in boxing where a guy can have anything but a 0 in his loss column, and the guy can still get over. Not only was that not the case, Canelo was valued just dollar and cents at 10 times more valuable than Crawford. Oh, by the way, Crawford is the only one that showed up with an undefeated record. And I must admit, some of those losses that Canelo had seem like the kind of thing that would really slow a guy down.
Both excitement and skepticism greeted the news that Terence Crawford had started his ascent to undisputed middleweight dominance. Crawford previously defeated Canelo Alvarez, who was thought to be the face of contemporary boxing, so he doesn't have much more to prove in terms of legacy. He broke the myth that he could only be stopped by strength and bulk by defeating Canelo. According to analysts, Crawford has already defeated the most powerful and marketable person in the sport, thus there is nothing more for him to achieve. However, his quest for undeniable status at 160 pounds demonstrates his desire to push himself more. If he wins, he would go into uncharted terrain and solidify his reputation as a fighter who never stops pushing himself instead of settling for greatness.
Anti-climaxing for him to drop back down because you already reached the height. You already slayed the giant. And essentially that's what Terence Crawford has already done. He slayed the giant, okay? Anything else he can do is going to be anti-climaxing. Nobody else he can fight. Canelo Alvarez has 63 wins, 3 losses, 2 draws, 39 wins by way of knockout. Canelo Alvarez is the face, or was the face, of the sport of boxing, right? And you defeated him and outclassed him. Everybody expected you to get knocked out. It was a money grab. It wasn't realistic. And you achieved it, right? There's nothing else you can do but one thing. And as I stated, you can put your crown so high on the pedestal, it's almost impossible to reach. And I stated that becoming undisputed in another glamour division in 2 fights, because it really doesn't matter who Terence Crawford fights at this point in time. There is no name that's going to garner him the traction and attention that he got from fighting Canelo. If he fights Ron Ennis, it's not going to do it. Virgil Ortiz, not going to do it. None of those guys, anybody would put against Canelo Alvarez and say that they would beat Canelo Alvarez. So now he would be expected to beat everybody. Okay? Sebastian Fundora, the Towering Inferno, because of the size difference, he's 6'6", 80 plus inch arm reach, right? At fighting at 154 pounds, that would be attractive.
Kellerman vehemently disputes the notion that Mayweather inherently occupies that position when the conversation shifts to the best of all time. Floyd, he contends, never took the kinds of chances that become legends. Kellerman feels that greatness demands more than just defensive prowess and financial success, despite the fact that his technical brilliance is indisputable. Legends like Roberto Duran and Muhammad Ali jeopardized their heritages by competing against the best, regardless of timing or benefit. Mayweather, in Kellerman's opinion, lacked the same sense of fearlessness. For this reason, he challenges the idea that Floyd was the best and instead Luke Stowe Crawford and other boxers who consistently outperformed dangerous opponents without concealing their business tactics.
Rocky Marciano was 49-0. Before Floyd got to 50-0, he was a heavyweight champ. Did anyone ever consider Rocky Marciano the GOAT? No, not seriously, no. Why would Floyd be considered the GOAT? Because he beat more fighters than Rocky did, more great ones? That's true. But really, Floyd was careful in the way he selected opponents. Don't get that twist. It's not that Floyd didn't fight a lot of great fighters. He did. It's not that I don't think he would have beaten a lot of the tougher fighters than he fought. I think he probably would have, but he didn't do it. He waited. He waited till Pacquiao wasn't at his best anymore. He didn't fight Margarito when Margarito was tearing everyone up. He waited for the right time to fight people. He got paid twice as much for fighting Pacquiao in a less dangerous fight than he would have had he fought him when everyone wanted to see him fight. Floyd is among the all-time greats, but he ain't number one.
Hamza Shiraz, a British boxer, showed appreciation for Crawford's legacy building. He underlined that Crawford's journey was unique since it blended power with a readiness to confront each significant opponent head-on. Shiraz described it as a privilege to watch the ascent of a fighter who not only defeats champions but does so with such poise and accuracy that he makes it appear effortless. For him, Crawford's narrative is about the message it conveys as much as its triumphs. Instead of avoiding the most difficult obstacles, greatness comes from pursuing them. Shiraz thus becomes one of the increasing number of boxers and supporters who think Crawford's career exemplifies the pinnacle of boxing greatness.
Whack, like I was saying it, oh mate, I had it totally wrong. But it just goes to show how good Crawford is, you know what I mean? Especially being, 38? Something like that, yeah, 38. So listen, to do what he done in the manner he did it, moving up 2 weights, yeah, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, one of the greatest to do it, one of the greatest to set foot in it. You know what, it was an honour to watch himself and Canelo live ringside. So yeah, the outcome of it wasn't ideal because if Canelo won, I would have been in line next, which is still the case, but just delayed a little bit. And I suppose it all depends what Crawford wants to do.
I saw a post from Umar actually, who put out before the fight, said, I really want my boy Hamza to win, but I think that Crawford will win. And I think a lot of people kind of possibly have seen that sentiment of they want him to win for you, but at the same time, a few people I spoke to picked Crawford to win.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it was a split of opinions, wasn't it? It was very, very divided. But then straight away, when the first bell went, and I see Crawford run to the centre, grab centre, you know he weren't there to fuck around, man. And he just bossed it. He just bossed it. I think I'll give Canelo no more than 4 rounds. But then at the same time, you've got to put yourself in Canelo's shoes. He's achieved everything he's needed to do in the sport. He's earned more than enough money, and he's still daring to be great. So as a fighter, as a fan, we can only appreciate that.
During these discussions, one analyst highlighted how Saudi Arabia's increasing influence is changing the boxing world's equilibrium. Turki Alalski, who has organized some of the most well-known fight cards in recent memory, is at the front of this transformation. In contrast to the past, when the U.S. was the primary location for mayabouts, Saudi Arabia has established itself as a new venue for major events. A large number of these pairings are classified as odd or entertainment-oriented, designed to make headlines rather than pit the greatest against the best. Alalshik's aim, according to critics, goes beyond merely advancing Saudi Arabia's not only about damaging the American market that had long dominated the sport, but also about damaging athletic reputation. He is reorienting boxing's focus virtually undetected by continuously bringing famous boxers and celebrities to Saudi Arabia. While fans appreciate the show, some are concerned that boxing's competitive spirit is being compromised for financial advantage. The main worry is whether the sport's future will be decided by the highest bidder rather than the spirit of competition, despite the fact that the events are magnificent and visually stunning. This poses a more profound query. Is boxing changing or becoming less of what it once was?
And I had been telling you that he was not coming to America with that. For that, he is coming to take boxing to Saudi Arabia. He is not trying to help boxing in America. He is trying to help boxing in Saudi Arabia. And in order to help boxing in Saudi Arabia, he has to do damage to American boxing, because American boxing is the mecca of boxing right now, and he wants to change where the mecca is. So when he backed Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, I did a video and I said, we know what this is going to be. This is going to be them trying to get this fight over for Canelo Alvarez. And then after that, Turki Al-Sheikh wants to take Canelo Alvarez to Saudi Arabia so he can fight Hamad Shiraz. And Hamad Shiraz can be the one to beat Canelo Alvarez and become the undisputed champion. And that was the end game that Turki Al-Sheikh had. So let's now talk about the fight that was necessary for Canelo to win in order for Turki's plans to come off. Terence Crawford had to lose to Canelo Alvarez. In the fight itself, as I have witnessed and many people have witnessed, that was not a close fight. That was a fight in which Terence Crawford won, and won convincingly. The fight was probably close up until around round 4 or 5, at which point in time Terence Crawford pulled out and pulled away and dominated that fight. Many experts, including myself, say that Terence Crawford won all but maybe 2 rounds. And there are some people that said that they didn't think Canelo won any rounds convincingly.
His victory over Canelo Alvarez was a turning point in Crawford's career and sent shockwaves through the boxing world. In addition to enhancing his resume, this triumph brought him a sizable paycheck, rumored to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars. The victory, according to analysts, put Crawford in a unique position where talent and money were a perfect match. Since he has already destroyed one of the biggest names in sports, the discussion immediately turned to what is ahead for him. This triumph, in the opinion of many, validated what Kellerman and others had long been arguing: that careful protection of Crawford's legacy is not necessary. Rather, it is based on overcoming the greatest obstacles in existence. The respect he has gained by demonstrating that he is one of the greatest of all time is more important than the monetary gain.
Defeated now 42-0 with 31 KOs, defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez 63-3-2. Moving up 2 weight divisions was a brilliant performance. We're going to analyze the actual performance and how good he was technically, tactically, physically later on in the show when we talk about the pound for pound list, Spencer and I. But what I want to ask you is, given that the judges scored it 115, 113, 115, Tim Cheatham 115, 113, Max DeLuca 115, 113, Steve Weisfeld 116, 112. Yeah, 116, 112 is 8 rounds to 4. I had it 9 rounds to 3. I could even have scored it 10 rounds to 2. How did you have it?
Yeah, I had it 117, 111. I thought the scorecards
9 to 3 then, yeah?
Yeah, I thought the scorecards were way too close. But that was always going to happen with Canelo Alvarez to beat him in Vegas. We've seen a few fights go close before. Triple G was one that comes to mind straight away, where I thought Triple G had won the first fight for sure, and it didn't go his way.
Imagine this, Spence. If Terence had tripped over Canelo's feet late in the fight, let's say he tripped over, and they'd scored that a knockdown, it would have been a majority draw.
Yeah.
And we'd have been screaming blue murder, wouldn't we? We'd have got a rematch.
Yeah.
We might still get a rematch.
I was going to say that, by the way. That's the only place now for Canelo Alvarez to go to. We know he's still got a couple of fights left with Riyadh season in his contract.
I think he'll become like a Ronaldo, a Cristiano Ronaldo for Turki Al-Sheikh. That's what he seems to be setting up as. Get him 2 or 3 more fights. keep him busy, make him a brand ambassador for Riyadh season, get the Mexican audience to know, because obviously there's a big PR going on for Saudi Arabia. They want to conquer America, Latin America. They want to be known out there.
That concludes the video for today.